excited for today's tutorial. We are going to go over our maker box for July. So if you don't know that we do a maker box, it's every other month because we want you to have time to be able to finish it. And we know life is busy, so if you ever get in a season of your life where it's just overwhelming to DIY but you love the projects, we do offer our boxes as finished projects too. Our staff will paint them for you and send you some beautiful home decor right in a box, all done for you. So with no further ado, we're gonna jump in and show you this month's projects, which are always a surprise. So I know people are waiting with bated breath to what's arriving. I love this one. It's one of the hardest ones to come up for with me because we don't seasonally base it. So our fall box will be coming up next. But this one, we really kind of had the concept that we wanted it to be something you could use and be very functional. And so with no further ado, we have 3 levels to our box. The lowest level starts at $29.95, and that is our sign of the month. And I'm gonna let you debut this one.
Okay, this is like my favorite because I'm such a person who's like horrible at planning throughout the week. So it's a menu board, and the fun thing is, so they come with these little chalk, well actually they're reversible. So they're pieces that are one side chalk, one side whiteboard, so you can decide what side you want to use, which I think is wonderful because I am not a chalk person.
And the girls are actually boxing up everything as we speak, and we are actually including a dry erase marker so that way you can use it right out of the box. So that's important to me. All right, so that is the Sign of the Month Club, and Maddie's gonna be working on that one. Then our second level is our Maker Box Club. And this is going to turn out to be a beautiful tray. You can kind of show them the image here. So it's gonna be such a pretty tray.
So you see the menu, this backwards, and then the tray.
And we need the pieces that we're gonna do. It's kind of like a small tiered tray set that's gonna go with it. You can utilize it on the tray, or if you have a tiered tray, you could absolutely add that as well. But I'm really, really excited about this because it's so practical. And then our last project is our Gotta Have It project. And I wanted this also to be really functional. And so these are going to be a trivet set with some leather cord. So that way when you get your hot pans off of the stove, you're able to put it on there and keep your table nice and protected. All right, and then of course we have our paint colors. We did our white, lazy gray. We have our Jacobine and black, so nice simple colors that are gonna be really tried and true. And then of course your setup kit. Now, if I was doing this at home, one of the things I love about the fact that we pack in a pizza box is you can actually just flatten this and use this as your workspace. So that's great because then you can sit and watch TV at your coffee table and still be painting and not feel like and then when you're done, you just fold the box and throw it away, right?
And we got our little tray pieces as well.
Yes.
And some tape, so.
I love it, perfect.
I came prepared.
That is so great. Okay, so the first step to everything is going to be just to paint the backgrounds.
Yes.
So we're gonna open up our paint, and Maddie's gonna start with the Gotta Have It Trivets here. And when I did it as the example, we're just gonna do a Jacobine stain on the backgrounds of those with a dry brush distressing.
This is so exciting.
I'm excited.
These are so cute. I feel like I need one of these though because I'm not kidding. Kenny has almost burnt my house down twice using like the cloth ones. So
yeah, we don't want to do that. Yeah, that's so bad.
So bad.
So in your tray set, if we're doing the Maker Box project, you have 2 sets of shorty decorative ones and 2 sets of long decorative ones. Those are going to be the ones we're really focused on painting. Then we have 2 plain ones, and this is going to help give it some rigidity. So I'm going to paint my background, the top part, and my plain, all the same color, and I'm going to do that Jacobine stain too. So here is your step 1, Jacobine stain, background of Gotta Have It project, and the 4 pieces of your Maker Box.
We're going with the yellow sponges.
Yellow sponge and wax on, wax off. Stain goes a really long way, so you want to spread it nice and thin. If you go too thick, you're probably going to run out of stain, first of all, but then 2, it's never going to dry.
And so these, obviously they have the little holes in them, and it might seem a little tricky to kind of get in there, but just kind of brush it on there, you know. It's not going to affect it or anything, and if it starts to streak a little bit, I just kind of flip my sponge over to the dry side and pick up some of that wet paint.
And the beauty of your Maker Box project is you really only have to paint one side. You don't have to worry about the underneath because it's gonna end up being inside the box a bit. So just a nice even coat. I am going with the grain just to make it a little bit easier to paint.
Same as well.
And fun fact, if you get a little too heavy, maybe it's darker than you planned on, if you grab like a baby wipe or even a slightly damp cloth while it's still wet, you're gonna be able to lighten that stain. And I'm just moving on to my legs.
Got one, my middle-sized stem. Oh, this one's going sideways.
Keeps you on your toes.
I know, right?
I like
like you haven't even re-dipped.
I was just gonna say, I think it's like a challenge to me to be like, how far can I make it go? But it's really important, or I like, it's not important.
Paint goes a long way because it really does.
Yeah, especially with stain, like the more you spread it out, like you get to see the grain structure better. I like it. Okay, I'm finally gonna re-dip. Watch me dip. Watch me now. Sorry. When we used to walk my kids through the parking lot, we would say like, put your hand up on my hip. When I dip, you dip, we dip.
Aw, that's cute. I like that.
They had safe hands. They always had to put their hands on me if we were walking because, you know, you always get your hands full of something. Usually a diaper bag or car seat. All right, so I have all the pieces painted here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to use my glue. And the glue is in the little pots here. So you have your glue pots. And then there's also white sponges. So I like to just use a little piece of plastic. Don't use a paper towel because it absorbs it too much, you'll run out.
Okay, so I got all of the trivets done. I'm just gonna set those aside for now.
We could do some dry brush distressing on them.
Oh yeah, yes.
Yeah, those are nice quick projects. Or did you want a brush
Yes.
and a
I
paper
know,
towel?
but this is more for the paper towel.
I'm her assistant.
I'm gonna get brown everywhere. That's me.
Okay, so when assembling this, I'm taking a white sponge and then I'm just going to add paint to the very top edges.
Did you do the white for this?
I didn't do the white.
So I'm actually gonna use that paper towel I was using earlier and dip in with the brush. So now I'm using the dry brush distress technique. So dip in the paint. I like to smash it on a paper towel, kind of get those bristles spread out, and then I'll kind of tap in and tap back off. And then very, very lightly, I'm gonna take it to this and just dust it across. We're antiquing it. And you can add as much or as little as you want, you know. There's no right, there's no wrong. It's completely up to your preference. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to, you know?
All right, so I got my glue on 3 edges, and then you'll see they kind of just keyhole into each other. And by doing it upside down, you're gonna be able to kind of mess with it and get it lined up appropriately.
Sorry, I keep elbowing you.
Tiny spaces here. All right.
Now, got my last one to do here. And kind of follow the same direction that the rest of them are going.
So, got all 4 pieces here. And I'm just lining them up. This does take, it's one of those that's, you know, you can have some extra set of hands and it can be helpful. But if you just snap it together, it will line up. And then what you want to do before it sets is take your extra one and put it in front of it because that's going to kind of show you where it will line up. So I'm just kind of centering it because these are going to create some extra rigidity.
So I have distressed these, they're painted. You will have 3 pieces of leather kind of rope. And these go into the little holes of these. So is there like a specific way we tie them? Just kind of like loop them like we do?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna take it, my leather, bend it in half, and it'll have a loop at the top. I'm gonna take the loop and put it through the hole of this. And then the 2 ends, I'm gonna pull through that. So we got that part. And then I'm just gonna take the top of this and twist it into a little knot. And now they're hangable. And if you're OCD like me, you might want to even the top strings out. So there you go. There's the first one.
So I had this all set, and then I looked up at Leah, and I knocked it down.
ADD. She looked up at you and she accidentally knocked it down. Oh, I did these ones even. Okay. And then the last one here.
There we go. What's having issues? This is one of these that's hard because I am short for this table.
Oh,
Can you hold this for me for just a second?
I moved it out of place. I'm so sorry.
You're fine.
Let me finish.
You might need your advance. If you have a friend, this is great. Otherwise, we can use painter's tape too. All right. So now, we're just gonna wiggle, 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 wiggle. And I think now we are good. There we go. Okay, perfect. Now we'll let that fall and let it dry.
Oh, it's all glued.
Yeah.
I was like, how's it staying?
So I'm gonna put this off to the side.
Okay. So now I'm gonna open up the menu board because I got these done. Just gonna set these aside for now.
Perfect. And then I like to do the top part of these white. So I'm using my white sponge. I'm gonna load, unload on a paper towel, and then just hop straight up and down. You could use a yellow sponge, but I find that it gets extra paint in all the little spinny things, and so I like to just use the white one.
Background, what did we do?
Background, I did like a Jacobine stain with really heavy white stressing.
Are you okay?
Mm-hmm. All right, pop, 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 pop. On the way here today, I had one of the menu boxes in my car, and he was like, "We need that, Mom, so I know what's for dinner."
Like, I don't even have my life plan that far ahead.
Man.
He got tacos every Tuesday.
Tacos, yeah. That I could write in permanent marker. Taco Tuesday. But yes, you all will get a black expo marker included in your kit if you have the menu board. And again, that's our sign of the month. So that is included in the sign of the month, the combo club, and the Gotta Have It.
So this menu board has the front, and then it also has this base here. So I'm just doing the base and staining that the same Jacobine color. And I'm actually gonna go and do the back of the menu board just because wherever you're gonna put it in your kitchen, you don't really know if you're gonna be seeing the back of it. So we might as well just do it and make it look a little bit more finished. So I'm gonna flip this and do a little layer of this. And like she said, you know, you don't have to do the back of all of them or the bottoms or whatever. Like, you know, it's completely up to your preference if you would like to. But you know, sometimes it's just nice to have a completed, finished look, and it just enhances it more, you know? Like, it's like, oh, I made that, but then it looks like it came from the store. So I just think that it's so, so unique, so fun. Okay. So, now that I am done with this, I am going to, so you would try to blow dry it, or you know, at least make sure it's nice and air dried. For this, I just know I put such a thin layer on it that it's pretty much dry, so I'm just gonna get a little sanding block and sand it real fast. Oh wait, we have the sandpaper in the thing. Okay, so yes, your little kits will also come with the sandpaper, so you are able to sand it. So let me just very lightly. And this doesn't take anything off. It just gets that wood grain nice and smooth again. Just because sometimes when you put stain or paint on it, it makes the wood a little bit fuzzy. And then when you do the stencil on top, it just won't be down flat all the way. And that could cause some bleed. So we just need to make sure that it's an included step because it's very, very important. So now I have my stencil and we're gonna go through this. So with the stencil, it has 3 layers. So you have the white background, the blue, and then there's a piece of clear tape on top. So I face it downward. Sometimes I'll take like a card or just something that's a little bit sturdy and just kind of flatten that stencil into that clear topping.
Topping?
Clear topping. So then you'll see here that layers like this. I'll come a little bit closer so you can see. But you can see where it's layered. So you got the 3 layers. So we want to make sure that blue is stuck to the clear. And we want to peel off only the white part. So it's kind of a tedious game, but I like to kind of keep it flush and pull the paper back. And then if anything ever like lifts up, you just kind of roll it back down, push it into the clear part, and then kind of peel it back up. Like this little E is coming up, I'm just gonna roll it down, push it, roll it down. These little letters, rolling them back down. And it's just gotta be patient with it. Give it some love. Okay. There we go. So now that we have that, we should have the clear, because you can see here where it's showing through, and then your stencil on top. So you'll line it up really nicely. And then stick it down.
Bada bing, bada boom.
And this part, I would not like scrape anything on top of it because sometimes it'll make it really sticky. If it's not sticking, then definitely do that. But same thing, you'll take that clear layer and just start peeling it back like we did with the white. And if any inserts of the stencil try to come up again, you just roll it down, stick it to the board, and go on about your merry way.
Tra-la-la-la.
Okay, so now you may be thinking, why do we have these on here if we're not painting chalk paint on here or, you know, whiteboard paint or whatever? This part will be covered up, but it is good to paint the insides of these. That way you just know where to line up your whiteboard, chalkboard pieces, and everything is measured out for you so you don't have to do the measuring. So, oh, you said distress with white.
That's okay.
This one doesn't have white now, so that's what we're doing.
You would use the same technique on the
Yes.
that you did on the Trivets if
Yes.
you did one in white, like the picture. But I like showing that you have it a variety of different ways too.
Yeah. So, white words, gray words.
I'm gonna do white words
White
now.
words? Yeah.
I think that's very pretty.
Okay. And then I'm gonna take this. I need paper towel. Sorry. Okay, so I got my paper towel, I got my wet sponge, and I have my stencil on. So I'm just gonna dip or tap, scrape off the side, hit a paper towel, and then hop, hop, hop. So with this part, we want to make sure we're being very careful and not swiping anything, because that paint could go under the stencil and then you won't have your words or your design on it anymore. And always kind of hop off on a paper towel. That way you're letting the sponge absorb all the paint and do all the work, and you're not kind of caking it on, because you can't use a blow dryer with the stencils now, because that could melt it or warp it, and then it also would ruin it, sadly.
All right, so while Maddie was doing that, I finished my white decorative pieces. I'm just adding a bit of wood glue to the back and then lining them up on the bottom of the tray here. And you'll find that when you're trying to get something to dry with wood glue, it's gonna be a little bit easier. I learned this hack from Leah. If you use painter's tape as your clamp. Because I don't have the patience to hold it or the time, and so I just like to do that. Now I will say one of the things I forgot to do is put glue in the little crevices, so if you did forget that with me, not a problem. As you add those top pieces, you can actually just come back and add that glue and it'll reinforce it a little bit for you. I get spoiled in the studio. We use a lot of super glue, it's faster, but the wood glue actually holds up better to different environmental things, so heat and all of those things like we get in Florida.
The other day I went outside to read a book, and I went inside like probably an hour later, and my book was like soggy from the humidity.
I believe it.
Like, my paper just went like,
I'm dying a slow death. Okay, I'm reconfiguring this because I keep dropping it. And I think my issue is because the table is tall for me. All right.
And so I just did a first layer on all of it, and because we can't dry it, we wanted to make sure we did a super thin layer, and that's why we were hopping off on the paper towel. So now that I've come down here, you can see that first layer is really splotchy and see-through, and that's what you want. So now that I've kind of come down, done everything, I'm just gonna go back up to the top and repeat the pattern. If it's still damp, I like to just walk away from it and let it dry for a minute, or maybe move on to a new project, and then just kind of let it do its thing.
Let it go, let it go.
Let it do its thing.
With some lasagna.
That's what all the cool people do around here. All right, I'm gonna add some glue to this because I let all my glue dry because that was crazy.
And honestly, you don't really need to do like a second coat on the like strip areas, just because they're painted in, you're gonna see the spot and it's gonna cover it up anyway. So I'm just gonna focus on the words. And usually with white, it takes about, I would say 3 to 4 layers if you want it super bold. Now if you're going for more of like a rustic look, you can do probably like 2 to 3 layers, but just know that if your like edges of your words or your design is filled in, it's not gonna be like very bold.
So this is the second time I put this together, and I will tell you, this is way easier than what I did when I did the original sample. Glue your pieces together and then assemble it because it gives it a little bit more oomph.
Give it a little.
So if you have been on the struggle bus with me, that was the issue. And then you don't have to really line up how they go.
Oh, I see what you mean though, like
Yeah.
the layer pieces.
Yeah, if you layer them together first, then it made it a lot easier.
Okay, so that is done. And it's a little damp still, so I'm just gonna kind of air dry it for a second. And then I'm actually gonna peel it because it's better to peel it when it's a little damp, not sopping wet. You don't wanna see any shininess, but when it's damp, it just allows like a more crisp line when you peel it off because the paint hasn't dried over the whole thing and like sticks it down. So we're gonna windle our way in here. And it's okay if the stencil rips because it's just gonna go in the trash anyway.
All right, so I have all four corners taped with my super special clamps. And then you can flip it over and voila, your tray is there. It's just gonna be drying while I work on the last little part here. So our last set that's included with the maker box is this little mini tiered tray set. So I'm gonna go ahead and open that up and we'll probably end up tag teaming this. But first things first, I'm taking some painter's tape, rolling underneath the edges and sticking it to my table because then I can just take all these little pieces and put them on it and I don't have to chase them.
That or the worst is when you're like trying to hold it and you're like dabbing on it and then it falls on the ground.
It falls, or you've now painted more of you than the actual sign.
The tape trick is my favorite.
I live by the tape trick. I really feel like painter's tape is like,
It's a gift.
it's what you need in the world. Like if you just keep painter's tape in your car, you can do so much. The kids get bored, you make an obstacle course at the hotel with painter's tape.
Yes!
Your seam rips out in your pants, you just put it together with painter's tape.
I'm sorry, he does it.
Enough painter's tape will do anything, I'm just saying.
All I'm saying is I have ripped my pants too many times to be 23 years old.
There's a story there.
There's a few stories.
He's done it at work.
I have.
All right, so now this tiered tray is the same, second verse, same as the first. We're just gonna do some backgrounds and have some fun with it. What you doing, Maddie?
So now we got our little strips. I can't decide what side to use. I feel like the black would stick out more, but I also know like I love white
Nice
boards.
little glue pile.
Thank you. I don't know. Or you could do an alternate. I mean, you could really do anything you want.
An alternate would be super annoying
That
because
would
you
be
have to like
annoying.
have both
Yeah,
top and
if you wanted to, you could.
it's an option.
I'm gonna go with the. I don't know. I feel like the black looks good
Well,
though.
go with the whiteboard because we
Yes,
have
we have the whiteboard.
whiteboard marker.
Yes. Do we have a little detail brush, or maybe I'll just use the sponge.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna take my wood glue and just kind of make some little dots because you're not gonna need too much and you don't want to use all your glue. So just kind of spread it thinly across all the pieces. And then, because we have our lovely little spots, I'm just gonna line it right up, right with this, and pop it on there, give it a little pressure, and then let it dry while I'm doing these ones. so easy. Like these are just so easy to put on here. I love this.
I'm a big fan of them. It's way easier than painting with chalkboard paint, my
Yes.
friends.
Oh, yes, it is.
The amount of time we have done that, and it just never, it's just
Chalkboard paint in
funky.
theory is great, but like the actual like using of it is very tedious because it's like the way that it dries, it wants to be in like specific conditions. It has to be a specific like amount of layers and
Yeah. Not good for somebody who doesn't have a lot of patience.
yes.
So I'm just painting backgrounds on all my little pieces here. And then when we're done with that, we'll do the wording and we'll assemble, and then our whole project will be donezo. And while I know we are tag teaming this, so it does go a little bit faster, hopefully this shows you that the projects really are designed to be rather efficient. Like you can get them done within like watching your favorite show. You know, we don't want to make them too tedious where you feel intimidated by them. But if you are behind a couple maker boxes and you live local to us, just pop into the studio for open paint. And it's amazing how much you can catch up doing multiples at once. Like,
True.
you know, you're painting all your backgrounds at once, all of this, it just makes it really easy. So feel free to do that. And then also stay tuned because my favorite two boxes to design for are coming up next. So of course our next box is going to be fall themed. If you are watching this and you're not a MakerBox member, I highly encourage you to head to our website, click subscription boxes, and choose your level because it's going to be one of those projects like last year with those lighted trees that everybody wanted, but only our Maker Club got it.
Yes.
So it's gonna be good, friends.
It's gonna be
It's
good.
gonna be good.
Honestly, I don't even know what we're doing. I don't think.
I don't think you do,
I don't think so.
but it's in
It's
my
a
head.
mystery to me, but it's gonna be good.
Yes,
I'm
we
excited.
all worked. It's gonna, I'm super excited about them.
Okay, now I have glue on my fingers, so I'm just brushing that off.
I feel like
Okay.
I always have glue on my fingers.
Look at how pretty.
And then it'll fit in your stand.
Yeah. So easy. Look at that. Look at that. Oh yeah. No hands.
Yay! You want to paint this one white for me?
Yes. I should probably not put it in front where everyone can't see. Splunge.
I always love this time of the project because it's like, we're coming around the corner. We're heading towards the finish line.
The finish line is clear. So the little laser pieces, we're using the same technique that we do using the stencil. These ones are a little bit more lenient. You know, you don't have to be so tedious with the amount of paint you use. But if you are kind of OCD, sometimes if you use like a glob of it, it'll start going on the edges. So you can kind of touch up those edges, or you can just use very light paint and try to keep it nice and light. Okay, so we're almost done. We'll just have to glue these together. Getting my second layer of white on here. The good thing about these two is you don't have to let them dry too much. Like, you don't have to blow dry them or anything. They can kind of just air dry and do their own thing, just because you're gluing all the wood components together and it's not going to truly like affect it in any way like it would the stencil. Oh, yeah. Eat.
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 That's what we do.
Okay. So we got that done. It goes on this thing.
It does. And I did just check the kits. They all have brushes in them, so ours was just missing it. So you can have a tiny brush. I will share.
Yes, so they got little tiny brushes for the tiny edges. So we can put some glue on here.
And you'll still be able to see your score marks on where the words go for the little guys too. So I'm just lining them up. I almost dipped my brush in the white paint. And then if you're new to us, we do actually have a kids subscription box as well.
That's been going great.
That's
too.
been
Oh
awesome
my
because
goodness.
it is a book club. So they get a book and then a project that correlates to it. And I've had a lot of fun designing for that. So the fall one's gonna be really cute too. The ocean one just went out. And then before that we did space. So it is awesome. You can add sibling kits. Lots of fun.
So we got this one glued.
Good.
And now I'm gonna do the wordy one.
The wordy one. All 3 words.
You said all 3 words?
Did you say wordy one?
Yeah, this one's a little bit wordy.
Yes, 3 words.
Like more wordy than the others.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was like, what?
I was like, what? Who's on first? What's on second? It was one of those days. Even sending this live up, they laughed at me like 4 times because I dropped cords. And
Forgot laptop.
I tell you, without this amazing team, nothing would come together. So we are blessed. And they are all packing boxes right now. It's such a beautiful site. You guys should see their order, organization, just rock stars. I remember when we first started this, some of the packing systems we come up with, it was rogue.
The 3 of these, you not even believe.
Yes, that's true. That is very true. Leah has been through it all. I remember the first time I said, I think I'm going to do a maker box. And Leah said, yeah, you should. And so I went and like put it out there, and then somebody signed up, but maybe like, yeah, like 5-10 minutes at most. And I went running down this studio like, oh my gosh.
I've been telling you for a couple of years to do this.
Yeah, I need the glue.
And I did.
Oh.
Thank you.
It's amazing.
It's been awesome, and so many of you are like what makes the dream come true. You've been with us since the beginning, and we really, really appreciate it. We put a lot of effort into coming up with the projects each month, and it's a lot of work packing everything and getting everything ready for you guys. So it is a labor of love, and we love doing it. So thank you for being a member. And don't forget, as a member, you also get 20% off of all of your other Paisley Grace purchases. So that is a fun little perk, especially coming around the holidays. You can save some big money. I actually have some people that probably save their maker box fee by what they save in their purchases. So that's really cool.
Made with love.
All right, I'm just freeing my tape so you guys can see the final image here. Whoops. There we go.
Also, it's struggling, if you like struggle putting on the words and stuff, sometimes using little tweezers to help you kind of clamp them and get the glue on and stuff, that always helps.
That can be clutch.
Yes.
All right, so again, our maker box level is the tiered tray and the riser. You have your menu for sign of the month, your Trivets for our Gotta Have It. Gosh, I love those with the leather. Your little spoon, knife, fork.
Does this have a base?
Yes, it does right here. We have our eat. We'll put that up front here.
Made with love.
Made with love, because that's what it is. So we hope you guys really enjoyed the tutorial. We hope it's helpful. And thank you again for being a member. And we will see you next 2 months from now, because that's when our, let's see,
Well,
we got
we'll
August,
see.
September. And
Yeah.
we'll see you for Taco Tuesday,
Yes.
obviously. Next week, we'll launch another collection. So You guys have an amazing day. Thank you. And let us know if you have any questions, if you get stuck at all. That's what we're here for. Just shoot us a message. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Of course. Of course.